Hi, my name is Chelsea Stutz. I'm the park manager here at Red Cliff Plantation State Historic Site in Beach Island, South Carolina. Red Cliff is part of the South Carolina State Park System. A significant part of the site's mission is to interpret the site's history. Because South Carolina State Parks has worked to preserve the landscape, the historic structures like the mansion and the slave quarters, as well as the incredibly intact archival record and artifact collection, State Park staff are able to interpret the stories and experiences of the enslaved individuals and families, later freed people, as well as paid and working staff and the owners of the property from the 1850s well into the 20th century. Archaeological work such as this only expands that opportunity to learn more and to share that information with the public and descendants connected to the site.
I am Kelly Goldberg. I am a clinical assistant professor at the University of South Carolina in the Department of Anthropology in the Honors College. I've been on this project for a couple years, collaborating with Dr. Allison McClutchy at South Carolina State University. She conceived of this project years ago as an effort to try to expand archaeological resources to students who don't currently have access to them. And so we've been focusing on reaching students from HBCUs across the state of South Carolina, where currently there aren't any archaeology courses that are taught, and there's no opportunity for students to get this kind of hands-on experiential learning.
So today I have students from South Carolina State and from Claflin University, and they are, for the first time, having an archaeological field experience. So they're learning about archaeology on this site. They're helping the state archaeologists as well as a faculty member from USC explore the site. So at these schools, neither of these schools have archaeology either as an individual course or as a major. And so what we've done is we've designed a program that allows these students to come during their spring break and experience what archaeology is. And I think it's important for them to be able to understand archaeology because, of course, archaeology, that's one of the sources that we use to tell our history.
So for the past couple years, we've been partnering with South Carolina State Parks, and this year we are at Red Cliff Plantation. And one of the great things about being at this site is the students are able to focus on conducting excavations of areas that are associated not with the wealthy white plantation owning family, but spaces that are associated with individuals who were enslaved here at the plantation and then who later worked here as tenant farmers. And so through this program, students learn archaeological methods in a hands-on approach that they're then actively discovering the history of the site. And the work that they do is going to directly contribute to the park's ability to in more detail interpret those stories of those families who have been here through the archaeological artifacts and features that the students are uncovering.
Hi there, I'm Marissa McDonald, but I go by Rissy. I'm a freshman math communications and biology double major at Claflin University, originally from Columbia, South Carolina. And I think archaeology is really using using different skills to really have a better, well-rounded understanding of the past and of history, and really being able to find tangible evidence of the things we've learned.
Trayvon Fullard. I am from Turbyville, South Carolina. I attend South Carolina State University. I am a social studies education major, and I do not know that much about archaeology, but just so far, pushing the GPR machine, it's very interesting, and you can see how in-depth and something that may seem so, I don't know how to explain it, might not be as impactful, it really is. It's actually that. It is very impactful to see the care they take with digging is pretty cool, and it makes sense because even though it's something in the ground, it's a treasure for something, or it can tell a story for a lot of people. So I'm excited. I hope to find something over these next couple of days.
So I'm Timothy Wiley. I'm a senior nutrition major at South Carolina State. And so far, this is my first time being at an archaeological site, participating in the process, and being able to engage with has been really enlightening, and learning about the history of this plantation. It puts into context a lot of things, monuments and places back home that are named after the owner of this plantation, and learning about his personal history and how he treated his slaves. It really puts a new light on things that I'm going to take back with me.
So, hi, my name is Naomi. I am a freshman at South Carolina State University, and I've grown up around archaeology from, around elementary, middle school, and I've always known it to be basically finding artifacts on many different, various types of lands across the world. So, I'm just hoping to find anything cool and new that can help contribute to the further research. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Walter Clifford. I'm here with the Savannah River Archaeological Research Program, where we are engaged in one prong of our threefold mission out at the Savannah River site, and that is public education. Today, we're out here in conjunction with the South Carolina Park Service and South Carolina State University to expose HBCU students to the world of archaeology. More specifically, we will be using ground-penetrating radar to attempt to find and locate some of the past structures that were out here at Red Cliff, and hopefully we can add to the narrative that builds the story of the people that lived here in the past, and hopefully build a better understanding of what lifeways were like for both the people in the big house and the smaller houses.
This week we are hosting a field school experience for students from historically black colleges and universities. And we'll be working in the area around the Red Cliff Mansion to see if we can find evidence of some of the former buildings that were here. We have a photograph from the early 1900s that shows what we think is probably a wine cellar, and then maybe a house and another building. And so we are going to do shovel testing, and we're also doing some ground penetrating radar to see if we can find evidence of these features. And we're hoping, the information that we get from this will enhance the interpretation efforts that they do at the park to speak more to the experiences of the African American families that lived out here.
SRP staff were asked if we could participate in a collaboration at Red Cliff, which would share aspects of archaeology with visiting HBCU students. We took our ground-penetrating radar unit to the park with the dual purpose of showing the students how it is used to gather data, but also to look for subsurface anomalies in an area of Red Cliff State Park that staff believed to be the location of a pre-existing wine cellar. Historic photos were used to put us in the general location, and the GPR seems to have found subsurface evidence to support the documentation. The data shows an area 3 meters by 4 meters and at least beginning at about 40 centimeters deep. The following day we shared the information with both park staff and the HBCU students, and subsequently a unit was opened over the area corroborating the historic and GPR data.
I'm Ranger Ashley here at Red Cliff Plantation State Historic Site. I'm responsible for the interpretation of this site in terms of research for newsletter articles, public programs, our regular tours, and exhibits. So what we've been finding this week will greatly contribute to our story here at Red Cliff and learning more about the material past of enslaved people who lived and worked here at Red Cliff. We have been wondering exactly where the wine cellar was for a really long time. One of the intentions for this site was to become self-sufficient on vineyards and orchards. We have a lot of documented things about the wine grapes that were grown here, and an enslaved boy named Henderson who was apprenticed to a master vintner at the age of 14 to learn how to make wine for this site. So we've had some written documentation and some old photos of the wine cellar that unfortunately burned down and was later filled in, so that's why it's just covered by the ground today. So uncovering this material past and the physical representation of those stories is incredibly significant to us today.
It's been very exciting digging where we are, especially. We were able to use the GPR technology to kind of locate where the wine cellar would have been underground. And so we placed our unit kind of right on the corner of where that technology showed the cellar being. So we haven't quite hit the wall, but we're being able to work through some plaster and some burnt wood and brick, and that really like inform us to know that we're actually in the right area, working towards the right spot. And so that's been very exciting.
And this week has honestly been very insightful, a great learning experience to learn the behind the scenes of everything that kind of happens in archaeology that you wouldn't think about on a normal day. Didn't think I would use the Pythagorean theorem again.
Right.
But hey, here we are. But yeah, this has been a really good week.
It's been a pretty eventful 3 days so far. Learning about the process of archaeology has been an enlightening experience. Seeing how they go through the process of unearthing the potential artifacts and everything, and being able to be involved in that process has been really great. Since we've been here, we've had opportunities to help uncover new things they weren't even expecting, like this these pile of bricks over here that might be a potential walkway.
To further what he said, he was the main guy who, when digging and doing our screen test, he found the underlying brick, and things like that is something where, it doesn't sound as interesting when you talk about it, but when we first discovered it, it was like groundbreaking in a sense of, no pun, but just things like that. It's exciting to dig a little deeper and find what else, or see what else you can find. And I know I mentioned on Monday that I came out here with not that or any expectation, and these past 2 days have opened my eyes to literally what's underneath me. So I'm excited to further keep digging and see what else we learn.
My name is Jordan Stenger, and I'm the curator out here at Red Cliff Plantation State Historic Site. My job is mainly to kind of care for the collections and the historic structures that we have here on the property. And so I'm usually the one on the other side of the archaeology dig, kind of looking at the different artifacts and seeing how we can maybe use them in exhibits and interpret them for people to understand the history of the site. And so while we've been having the students out here working on shovel testing and doing some unit work on the property, we came across a kind of unique and out of the ordinary object here. It's going to be this oyster shell, and so this was definitely not something we were expecting to find in one of these shovel tests. And it is unique because, of course, we are quite far from the coast, and so we do know that James Henry Hamlin was experimenting in a variety of fertilizers. It's possible that this oyster shell is an example of enslaved people's labor here, spreading different kinds of shells here for fertilizer. It is also possible that maybe it did travel all the way inland here to the Beach Island area and was used as a food source. We don't really know. One of the unique things about archaeology is that while we are sometimes answering questions, we also are going to be opening up the ground here to have a lot more questions that maybe we can't answer immediately. So hopefully we'll be able to find out a little bit more in the future.
And also, just being able to, doing this whole experience, just kind of recognizing how even the mundane things that we unearth, there's a lot of potential historical significance to it that can help tell a broader story about a particular location such as this plantation.
And we're fortunate to be here at Red Cliff, and it's through the generosity of a few donors. Most of our funding has come from a Winter-Gren Global Initiatives grant through the Winter-Gren Foundation, and again, their intentions are to try to help expand out anthropological and archaeological resources. And we've been fortunate to get funding from them to provide several years, so for the next 3 years, we'll be repeating this program, and also through the generosity of South Carolina State Parks. And so whether we're back here at Red Cliff or at other parks throughout the state, we hope to have more opportunities for students to get that experiential learning and help to contribute to the interpretations of these important stories that have been underrepresented in narratives, or just haven't been, we haven't had as much information to talk about some of these individuals and these families.